you know, we've got events coming up. We've got on February 3rd, not only we're going to have the premiere of the Private Eye movie in Cincinnati. That's going to be at the Esquire in the afternoon. In the evening, we're going to be at the Woodward, and Lexi Pantera and Chip the Ripper and Big Thorn, all the Jay Reeves and Jared Brady are performing at the live event as well. And then, you know, you create this fun buzz. We're making trends. Everybody else is following them. That's the big studios. That's the biggest problem with studios, and they don't believe in young artists that are powerful. They don't believe in them because they're chasing trends. But these artists, they're the ones making trends, you know? Yeah. And then all of a sudden the studio goes in that direction, and now we're so expensive. That's why they have to spend so much money because, yeah, you should have believed in us when we had nothing, but they won't do that. You know, they want to chase those trends. With the recent success of Matt Rife, you know, he's like a mix between Brad Pitt and Adam Sandler. You know, you can't get that combination every day. You know, super fit, good looking, but funny as hell, and also humble and sweet. You know, he's got that Adam type. But I do believe we're New Hollywood. And you know what I really love about it is everybody in the crew has been blowing up, you know, that we've been working with. It's not, you know, Matt's blown up, but we, you know, KJ Smith, you know, all these big actors, they just, you know.
So now's your time,
they're just
guys.
real. Exactly.
So you got it. So Mo's a real thing. Momentum is a real thing.
Real thing. Everything's moving faster right now, especially for us. Like, it used to take
selective
time.
Of who you work around and who you play around and, you know, and surround yourselves with.
Yeah.
You know?
If you got, so you got to make sure you capture this moment in time, because there's no guarantee this momentum comes back.
No.
Absolutely.
There's and it's always about getting that next 15 minutes of fame. You know how they say 15 minutes of fame? It's about recreating that 15 minutes of fame all the time, because even if you're Brad Pitt, it only lasts 15 minutes and then you got to do something else. You know, and now it's working even faster with these TikToks and everything. You got 30, 60 seconds. And they got to do something else. You can't just live off that same moment. And there's a book, it's called 48 Laws of Power. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. There's this one chapter about slow time, I think it was called medium time and fast time. But there's like 3 different times it's talking about, and you have to utilize all 3 of these, okay? With The Private Eye, for example, I started that movie over 10 years ago. I wrote it.
What took you so damn long?
Well, that's patient time. You know, there's I wish it was moving as fast as I wanted it to, but I learned patience, and that's the only reason I'm sitting here with you today, is because I took my time and I didn't rush it and push it out. There's plenty of artists that do things too fast instead of letting it marinate and really creating this foundation. But then there's also times where this is your moment. You better
be urgent.
Strike now.
Right.
Strike now. So that's us.
That's
you know,
now.
Yeah.
That's
100%. 100%.
Whereas if we would have tried to force The Private Eye 8 years ago, you know, when we were just building everything, I mean, it would not have been nearly as great as it is today.
And there goes the adaptability. I was reading something about Reservoir Dogs. Like, there was one point where he was like, "Screw it, I'm making this for $40,000." And then the producer, I forget the producer's name. Anyway, the producer's like, no, let me find the money. Give me like 2 to 4 months. And Tarantino's like, okay. And then he raises $2 million. So, that was a good budget.
So he had
to
know what to do, right? Or if he would have done it for the $40,000 and wouldn't have had faith to let the guy do his thing, it wouldn't have been the same.
It would have struggled. Yeah. So it's good he was patient for that. So our good friend named Eric Roberts, he's an actor. He's been acting for years. And
he was a lot of martial arts stuff and everything.
Best of the best.
Isn't that Julie Roberts' brother?
Yes, and Emma Roberts' dad,
well, he was famous first.
He was famous first before all of them.
Sorry, here we go. He's got something to say about it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, she's my sister.
Yeah, I'm not her brother.
My younger sister.
No, but no, he actually loves he loves his family, and their family is very talented. I mean, when you've got 3 people that made it, you know, Eric's, like you said, best of the best, but also, nominated for an Oscar for Runaway Train, and
he looks like he wants to kill people, y'all. I'm just saying he's got that look.
Hey, have you seen The Expendables or something?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just telling you, like, he reminds me of like Peter Bronson back in the old days, right?
Yeah.
Eric Roberts just looks like, even if he's nice as hell, he just looks like he wants to kill somebody.
Hey, man, I'll tell you, you would love him.
He's a great mobster.
Right?
He does play
Dark
a good
Knight.
bad guy.
Yeah.
But no, I love Eric, and what were we just saying about him? Well, it was about I forget. Anyway, it's Eric is an amazing actor, talented person, and everything.
So,
well, shout out to his wife though, Eliza.
Eliza Roberts.
That you mentioned being Hollywood and whatnot. So Eliza, she's been a mentor for us now for years. Is my active manager and just has helped guide me in the industry. But so when she first met Jack and I, and when Eric first worked with us, immediately they told us, Eric wants to work on everything you guys do for the rest of his life. And Eric told us that directly, too, over dinner one night. And Eliza, she grew up in the Hollywood industry. Her grandmother was a writer and just very family well-connected.
She's actually an actress in Animal House.
Yeah, she's a great actress herself. She does casting. She does it all. She also has quite the eye for selecting people and seeing things in people.
Seeing talent.
And it's funny because she'll select talent and put everything into them, and next thing you know, they're the next big thing. Like Matt Rife, for an example.
So just behind the scenes.
David Duchovny.
Yeah, David Duchovny she brought up, Matt Rife, and they'll say it. David
Jack
Duchovny.
and I that she admires and loves what we do so much because the way we do it is how Hollywood was built. We wear every single hat, from the writing and the development of it to the production of it, the post-production of it, distribution of it, on set. I mean,
is that where it's going now? Is that where movies are going right now? Because
it's very hard to say that. It is because it happens every 4 to 5 years. Okay, I mean, it happened with Paranormal Activity. It happened with but the thing is. You have to do we make movies, okay? Most people that are doing the big union jobs, they do their work. They got their job. So like I hire you as a carpenter, a gaffer, a makeup artist. You go there to do makeup for
a light guy,
lighting guy. You go there to do. Elliot and I, we're just trying to make a phenomenal movie. So, I don't care, And
is that where the Cincinnati work ethic comes in? This
yes.
Midwest work ethic?
Yeah,
we
like
have no hesitation to do it all.
Yes,
no.
exactly.
Yeah, so
and it's easy to us.
We're definitely growing to the day where Jack's
to,
only focused on directing.
Yeah, I want that. Okay?
I'm just acting. But
yeah.
right now, I mean, we still run around like crazy men a lot of days, and it's actually kind of it's rare when it's a day on set and we can just kind of focus on doing our
that.
How can you guys be independent though and still really get these movies and get in front of the right people and it has the right presence and it connects with human beings?
Yeah.
How can you do that being independent? I'm assuming that, right? You consider yourselves independent?
This is a way to say it. We are independent for sure.
Absolutely.
And this is the best way to explain that.
Because we're walking on the ground,
we compare
2 feet on the ground.
Yeah, well, and we compare our company with Universal and Lionsgate. Most people compare their company to smaller to them. So what we do exactly what they do. All right, they might have $100 million, but there's still ways to do that. Like for example, a billboard guy. That billboard might cost $3,000 for the month or $15,000 for the month. But if you know the billboard guy, guess what? You can get it for free. So there's using your favors and realizing you need to be just like those guys. What are they doing? You do exactly what they're doing, and then guess what? You'll think of things that nobody does. We just did things the last 2 weeks that nobody ever heard of, but it was so successful. It was called a movie poster reveal. Everybody we talked to, nobody
does movie posters anymore.
No,
it's like the 60s, 50s, 70s.
Well, even back then, nobody has a reveal.
And we hired the best of the best to hand draw our posters.
Yeah. His name is Steve Chorney.
The highest of quality, and we want our pieces to be timeless, to last forever.
And this is it. That's a drawing, actually. That's our movie poster. And Steve Chorney did that. He was also the artist of, you ever heard of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He drew that movie poster. Have you ever heard of the movie The Great Escape with Steve McQueen? He drew that movie poster.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, he's 74.
And
I hope you don't mind me telling your age, Steve. But no, he is the best of the best. And, that's what we try to compare ourselves to these big companies and do it the way they do it, because we got an advantage. We know what they do. They don't know where we're coming from. That's why when we say movie poster reveal to even our industry people, they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is that? Well, hey, we'll get used to it because it works, and we're going to keep on doing it.
And celebrate all the hard work that we've been doing and that everyone around us has been doing too, and just create the buzz. And you should have seen what we first sent Steve when we were reaching out to him.
I'll show you after the.
Oh, it was like
stick figures.
Yeah, stick figures and floating heads, and then he sent us back for just example drawings and
you wouldn't believe it.
Wow.
You would think they're pictures. They're so
good.
lifelike. Like we've been talking about this movie. We officially finished in February of last year, like with the post.
So what's the official name of the movie?
The Private Eye.
The Private Eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and we're trying to hype it up to different investors and studios, and we're like, even when Matt was gaining momentum, Matt really about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, Matt was releasing his own stand-ups, like his hour specials, and they started gaining traction, and then
funding them himself too.
And just last year, he started getting traction. Nothing like now. Like, his Netflix special comes out November 15th. But Netflix wouldn't give him the chance. Anyway, February, we're finished. We start pitching it around, and, we get some lowball offers. And this is before Matt blew up.
Standard, basic offers.
Bullshit.
That
It was bullshit.
Which a lot of young filmmakers that have a completed film, they're just looking for anybody to accept it.
Let me get 25 grand from someone.
Yeah,
Let me get 50 grand so I can pay my bills a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm just even a couple hundred's nothing.
Right.
So
but
we're
if you realize you could do the work yourself and get so much bigger.
Yeah,
then,
that's
go ahead,
what's
Jack.
what's being forced to happen, because like we're pitching it and like they're giving us no ball offers, and we're like, this kid we got, man, well, he's just only like 5-6 years younger than me, but anyway, we're like, man, he's about to blow up, he's the next big thing, and they nobody believes in us, and they're like, whatever, and we even have a screening to have investors. Shout out to Jake Sweeney Automotive. We actually had the screening in their they have like a screening private theater, and they've really supported us a lot and have been helping out. And so anyway, we invite like 150 people or so in the screening, and we're like, hey, Matt's about to blow up, this, that, and like, you want to get in now. 2 weeks later, Matt blew up, and everybody at that event is telling us, oh, you were right, blah, blah, blah. And then we start getting more offers from these distribution companies, but they're still they're ridiculous. The offers that they made us. In our minds, we're like, whoa, you don't understand, obviously.
Especially when you look at how long it's been that we've been building this project.
They don't care about that, do
no,
they?
They
don't give a shit about any of that.
They follow trends. They don't make them. They follow those trends.
But Jack and I were like, we at least need to make enough to where it makes
you can do it again
every year worthwhile.
Yeah, we spent 10 years.
We can do it again.
So if somebody would have come to you and you would have said, "Oh, that's a great offer," and you're taking it. Can you throw out the number? If somebody came to you with that, you don't have to counter it. No negotiation. But, like, not astronomical, just like, oh, that's a moonshot. That's good.
Yeah.
They would have said how much, and you get to distribute, own, whatever our movie.
Yeah. Oh, so you own the whole thing?
Well, I don't know. Tell me what owning it means.
Owning it means, like,
they
you
control
get the
every
whole
part
rights
of it.
for life.
For whole rights for life. I mean, the low ball offer would have been like $10 million.
Okay.
Low ball.
All right, so that meant low ball.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No. They were the number. I'm not even going to tell you the numbers they offered. I was just like, dude, you obviously don't understand. And that's been going on the whole time, though. But I think that's what makes somebody.
Yeah, and
right
I think
there.
a
That
lot
like
of people that sit up on the high chairs and and the execs at some of these big distribution companies, I think they're trained to just discourage filmmakers or young artists, and so they'll be like, oh, I don't know if that's the best idea for you, but let me have it and I'll take care of it for you and wrap it up in a pretty bow. And it's like, but we could do that ourselves. We can go around and pitch it to everybody.
Well, and that on that note, something that's crazy that we found out is all these big people, you want their advice and you want your help because you want it easier for yourself. That's the only reason you work with other people, so it's off your back and you make it easier, and they've already done it before, blah blah blah. There's so many companies that were telling us what the theaters would think about our movie. I'm talking about like 10 large companies that were telling us, oh, this, that about your movie. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. So we actually have they didn't know this, but we have personal relationships with these theaters, like big theater chains, like the biggest. And so like
3-letter chains.
Yes. Big one. So we, eventually I was like, this is ridiculous. I got to just see what these guys say personally. Man, they freaking loved it. Yeah. And so, like, everything that all these other people thought, like, oh, this is what they were trying to tell us what the theater said. So for entrepreneurs that are watching this, I think that's a very important lesson is, in a way, don't trust anybody but yourself. Like, take all, and listen, though, don't shut them down. Like, I never was like, oh, no, I'm going to do it this way. I let you talk.
Yeah.
You give me all the
take
info
any
you
advice,
want, you know, and I'll use some of their advice, but don't let other people talk for other people, because that person, you know.
Yeah, how do we know what to listen to, though? Isn't it tough what we're talking about
You just
here?
got to listen to your heart and your gut. And
there,
exactly.
You know?
If you really believe in something, really believe something is worth a certain amount, or just worth it, and it's worthwhile, then bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, bet on yourself, because nobody else is going to work as hard for you as you're going to work for yourself, and nobody's going to believe in you as much as you can believe in yourself.
And that's where it starts getting scary. Is
Yeah.
like, if you do trust somebody else, like imagine you get a huge company to, like, you know, you just got this project, you know it's perfect, you know, in your own mind, you know something's going to happen. Like, I'm not saying the movie's perfect. I mean, we had a lower budget, but what happened was perfect. The movement was perfect. It was more than a movie. It was a movement. Imagine, you know, you go to one of these big companies and you trust them. I trust what you do. But then they tell you all this advice that, in a way, it's like it's negative. And really what it is they don't want to do the work, you know, and they just want money.
They just want to do it their way. They want to do it the way they've learned to do it.
And not forcing anything either, letting it be organic and natural. And perfect example of that is the story Jack just told too, where, you know, these studio or distribution execs will tell us what the theaters are going to tell us, where these guys, we had the pressure for them just to watch our movie, and then they watch 15 minutes of the movie and give us their advice after that. Whereas the theaters directly, we didn't have to pressure them to watch it, and they came back, watched the whole movie, loved it, and didn't even know who Matt Rife is. And so
they
it's
just
like
loved the movie.
They loved the movie for what it was, where other people they're just seeing
all they
dollar
see is Matt
signs
Rife, you know, and like
and we love Matt.
Yeah, we love,
know?
and
Don't get me wrong, and
his
he
fans
killed
will
this
love
role.
this movie, but it's definitely bigger piece of the puzzle than just a Matt Rife movie.
So how's it come together? Because you probably landed him to play the lead role. Before anybody knew him.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Right. When did you land
two
this?
movies with him?
3, 4, 5 years.
2019 and 2020.
No, so what we did is so back, I mean, our first article that came out, it was a Cincinnati. It was called the Tri-County Press. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
Yeah,
it's up in like where Tri-County Mall is. It was like that whole area. It was their newspaper. I think Cincinnati Enquirer ended up buying it, or it was a substitute of that.
Yep.
Anyway, that was our first interview in 2014 about this movie. Eric Roberts, we had his name in it too. You know, it was long time ago, and you know, I the first original script, the first draft, I wrote in 4 days, 14 to 16-hour days. I just pumped it out, 90 pages, bum. And then it took.
Jack got in the maniac mode.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say we ain't gonna talk about what was
yeah.
going on. We'll
God.
stick with caffeine.
Yeah,
we'll stick with caffeine.
No, yeah, it was not like
coffee.
that. It was the dream, you know. Like if you really want something, it's just like Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Like
But something happened for you at that moment, and you sat down and did it.
Oh yeah,
Something
I knew what I had to do, and I knew that I wanted where I wanted to be. Like that's the whole thing. Compare yourself with the greatest. Even if you don't make it to the greatest, even if you fail, you win. You know what I mean? Like, hey, shoot, I'm the next Michael Jordan if you're a basketball. That's who your competition should be, because even if you get half of what Michael Jackson is, you'll still be a millionaire.
Jordan
NBA.
And Jackson.
Yeah.
Jordan
So,
and Jackson,
but this isn't any different.
I meant Michael Jordan.
So
sorry.
we'll get back on that. But this is the same as what Sylvester Stallone did back in the day.
Oh yeah,
He traveled this path with Rocky.
100%.
He believed in himself, and he wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Oh, they tried to kick him out of that. They
below
offered
what
him
he believed he deserved.
Yeah, and they said, well, we're not going to buy the movie. You're not going to. He's like, okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and you have to have that. There has to be a
Be willing
something.
to walk.
You gotta have cojones, if you know what I mean. Like you gotta be sure of yourself, for sure.
So go back to 2014.
Okay.
Because you probably thought, we talked about it before the podcast, but every time you make a plan, and some high 90-something%, it just doesn't work out.
No, and it didn't work out. So, like, we think we're going to film this year, and I'm raising all this money, and,
we were going around pitching it everywhere we could pitch it to. And
and then something funny was all the investors were like, I only do horror films. Like, a neo-noir drama, mystery romance.
Yeah, that was the fad at the time.
Yeah,
horror films are always going to be killer.
Yeah, so anyway, we eventually, one time, we, say after 4 years or 5 years pitching it, we had to adapt and move around, and so we actually even shelved The Private Eye and stopped focusing on that, and then we focused on a horror film. That's the one we're filming in Kentucky, actually, and that was a crazy story in itself. But as we're working on this new project, we finally get everything in order where we are able to film this movie, and 2020, the first week of March happens, and we literally have 3 projects. We have one in India, Soul to Squeeze, and I actually forget what the other one is. But they were all ready to go. 2020 hit. Boom. Hey, we shut down. Let's see where we're at in a month. And so we thought by May, we were like, oh, we're going to be back on the game.
May of 20.
Yeah. We thought we were going to be back on the game. Nope. And so we adjusted again. We adapted to the situation, and we were like, well, we got The Private Eye on a shelf, and
can't do nothing.
Can't do nothing. So, and in my mind as a director, I thought Matt was perfect for the lead role of this Mort Madison. So,
we just worked with him on a movie the year before. So
and so everybody loved his acting. I mean, he really had it, man, and he cared. And so Elliot and Elliot was already cast in the movie before this too. So it was Elliot, Hope IE, and I call Matt, and I'm like, hey, Matt, I want you to be the lead. This is his first lead role. And I was like, man, this is it, man. You're the best for this role. I think you got it. I want you to come on board. And he came on board of May of 2020, and we were planning to film in September 2020. So this is another thing for entrepreneurs. You got to have that plan, and
we
no
set
matter
ourselves a
what,
deadline.
set your deadline
we
and
thought we
do
were
it.
gonna have our goal budget by then, and we probably had half of it.
We didn't
by then,
have
and
our
we
full
looked at
budget.
each other, and we're
You
like,
started shooting anyway.
Anyway. And as
and
soon as we called action, the rest of the budget just rolled in
for that project.
As soon as people see you actually making moves,
and
they
that's
want a piece of
scary.
it.
Yeah, nobody wants to invest in your business if it's not doing it.
You
if you're
got
not
to do the
doing
work.
it.
You got to do the work.
People will invest in a business that's doing it.
Production's rolling. They must be in good shape.
They're
Let's go ahead and fund this.
exactly. Nobody cares about ideas, So anyway, that was a big, that's a risk factor that you have to do. We didn't know what we were going to do.
Money's a real thing. You got it. You have to have it.
You have to have it.
You have
and the
to.
way Matt is too. I mean, we worked so well together because as soon as he said yes, I mean, he just got so involved in the whole process of it too. And
he helped make
the way we are. We want everybody that's in our circle to win, and we want everybody to be equal, and that's why we like to say working horizontal too, just because we're all friends, we're all family, and when you're working with people who you already get along with outside of work, it just makes work life a lot
can you get
easier
a lot
and
better,
more
right?
fun.
For this movie, The Private Eye, I'm very grateful to be a musician because for the budget we had, usually you can't use real instruments. Usually it's a guy on a keyboard making all these plugins, they call them. Like, I have a violin with this
like
sound.
shortcuts.
Even the biggest, but even like TV shows do this. Like you need like $200 million or $100 million to make a movie with a real score. But since I knew musicians, I got lucky to have the guy who composed it. His name's Ryan Remington.
Oh man, he's a true rock star.
It's all live instruments. The only time he's using a keyboard is when it's supposed to be a keyboard playing. But something that I love about music is my movies that I am personally wrote, like The Private Eye. The music was already picked out before the movie was filmed. I knew I wanted. I actually got this from one of the other writers, Patrick Rowe. But we wanted to use salsa, Hispanic, Cubano music because you can get a real dramatic scene. And it's still comedy in The Private Eye, but a situational comedy. So with Cubano and salsa music, it could be like super serious, but you can also freaking laugh.
This feels like you're making like The Mexican or something, man.
Well, it's very. It was that type of music. Those were the examples. And with that, I remember we showed somebody the movie right after the score was done. I think it was one of the composer's friends, and he had the best. He's like, man, I'm so glad you didn't use the normal neo-noir film noir movie, because normal film noir is it sounds like Frank Sinatra. You got a trumpet or whatever. Mm-hmm. But we have it feels like you're in L.A. Like we don't have the Hollywood sign in it, but you think you can feel that
you're
you
there.
are in Los Angeles.
Do you think that is because you're a musician as well? Is that why you could feel it and see it and know what you wanted?
It's why it's very important to me. I do think this is a movie for film buffs. You know, I think it's one of those. I mean, obviously, people like you even because you bring up Pursuit of Happiness. Like, if something, you know, if
That was a great,
it's
that
a
was
movement.
great one to
You
bring
know,
up, man.
I'm so glad you did because like people don't know what people want, and these Hollywood people, the I don't know Rotten Tomatoes, but
that's what it's people that supposedly are
the high execs or whatever.
Yeah, man, it's like Siskel and Ebert back in the day, a bunch of people like that.
And after dealing with them for so long, like I really the people are all that matter. I mean, like people make things popular, you know what I mean? It's like good examples are like Napoleon Dynamite. You know, you might not like that movie, but the world did. You know what I mean? The world, it made $48 million in the box office. They made that for $400,000.
Back 25 years ago or whenever it was.
Yeah, and then Halloween, the original with John Carpenter. You know, like nobody might have liked that movie. They made it for $300,000, and now
movies like that too. When you have
million.
a limited budget, it calls for true creativity. And I'm not saying these big budget movies don't get creative either.
No, but if you get what you want, you don't have to do the math
I mean, the
problems.
big budget movies that are already big studio movies and like the sequels of Halloween, they've got unlimited money.
Yeah.
So if you need more money, no big deal. But if you can't just go and get more money, that's where you have to get creative.
Yeah. I mean, good example, 2020. All right. Gun stores. We had a scene where we were supposed to film in a gun store. 2020 guns were very popular, especially in LA. So we couldn't film at the gun store we were talking to because they had lines out the door all day, every day,
we can't
buying
close our
guns.
business for a day for you guys.
So we had to get creative and kind of like make our own underground gun store, and that it's way better than it would
like
ever
some
been.
Batman shit or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Like
it
some
is.
Joker stuff
It
down
is.
under the
Yeah,
in
it's true.
It is.
Yeah.
No,
We used
and
the same place for 4 different locations of our movie just because they hooked us up and we had to get creative with it. If you can sleep like a baby every night, then you're doing something right.
Hey, what are you quoting, The Private
I
Eye,
am.
bro?
I am.
That's from our movie.
So this is perfect. It's a good way to, as we wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
But when am I going to be able to go to like AMC at Newport on the Levee? Am I
Yes.
going to be able to go there at some point and see The Private Eye?
Yeah.
Yes.
When-
So
when
in,
do you think?
in February. And, you know, even more than
February
that.
2024.
Yeah, February 2024. And even more than that, I would. We should have brought the tickets, but I'd like to invite you to the Cincinnati premiere.
Yeah,
if
I'd
you would
love
like
to
to.
come, man. I
Yeah.
would. I'll come to that.
February 3rd.
That's February 3rd.
Okay.
It's in the afternoon because we got a big night, and I want you to, you know, I'd
love
like you
to
to
come,
come
man.
to all the events.
Yep. That'll incentivize us to get more eyeballs and views on this.
I wanted to give a big shout out to Jay at Native Brand for introducing
Yes.
us. You know,
Yep.
He's actually the one who
Oh,
made
yeah.
all these shirts.
Yeah. I mean, The Private Eye was funny because, there's definitely some things we could potentially do better. I mean, part of that being, having a bigger budget for the next one. But it's also funny because there's been those moments where Jack and I will look at each other and be like, damn, how are we going to make the next one better than this?
Because there's so much luck in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I remember somebody asked me a question like, about, I think it was at the screener about, are you excited for the next one? I'm just like, man, I hope we get as lucky.
Yeah.
Like hopefully.
Because, same. There's always ways to grow.
Oh,
and
COVID almost
new
stopped
knowledge
us.
to learn. But
Everything almost stopped us. But yeah, no, we just keep on going.
Can't let
Keep on
that-
doing it.
Yeah,
That is
can't
it.
let
That's it.
that keep you from playing the game.
Baltimore.